Husband appearing in court after reportedly confessing. I want my family back. Major developments in the disappearance of that pregnant mother and her 2 young daughters this morning. Investigators now believe they have found the bodies.
Why? Ow!
My daddy is a hero.
Hello and welcome back to my channel. On August 13th, the horrific news broke that a pregnant mother and her 2 young daughters were missing. I saw the TV interview her husband Chris Watts done, asking for his wife and children to come home. Right away, red flags were going off for me. This husband and father seemed to be smiling and laughing during the interview. I straight away said it's the husband who did something to his family. I followed a couple of YouTube channels that were covering the case. Then I found out that Chris Watts had pled guilty for murdering his family and had given the location to where he had buried his wife Shanann in a shallow grave and put his 2 daughters in tanks of crude oil. This news shocked people all over the world. How could a father do this to his pregnant wife and 2 gorgeous little girls? Our hearts were breaking, and slowly more information was being released to the public. Police cam footage, the neighbors' security footage, and interrogation videos. I had so much to say, I decided to make YouTube videos about this case. Now that I look back at my videos, they were badly made and the audio was terrible. My first video was about the TV commercial that plays during the neighbor's security camera footage, which is a weird place to start my channel. So I want to go back to the beginning of this case, going through some information from the 2,000-page report and other videos that were released to the public as I take a look back in 2020 hindsight. I know the case and the outcome, but I want to start from the beginning and bring some light to a lot of questions still being asked. So I hope you enjoy. It started with a 911 call made by Shanann's friend Nicole Atkinson.
County Communications, this is Stacey.
Hi, Stacey. My name's Nicole, and I'm calling because I'm concerned about a friend of mine. I dropped her off at her house at 2 in the morning last night because we were out of town together, and we were on the way back from the airport, and she's having issues, and she's pregnant, and I haven't been able to get a hold of her this morning, and I've gone to her house, and her car's there, and stuff like that, but she won't answer the door, she won't answer phone calls, she won't answer text messages, and I'm just really, really concerned. And she had a doctor's appointment this morning, and she didn't go to it, and I don't know what to do. I've called him and talked to him, and he said that she went on a play date with her other 2 daughters, but, like, if she went on a play date, they're both in car seats. Why would she not take her car?
Perfectly understandable. Do you happen to know her address, Nicole?
I'm asking standing outside her house. It's 2825 Saratoga Trail in Frederick. And then I said, like, Chris, can you just come home and check to make sure she's okay? Because the shoes she wears every single day are right inside her door. And he was like, yeah, I'll be there in 30 minutes. Well, that was 45 minutes ago. And I called him and asked him again, can you please come home? And he's like, I'm 45 minutes out.
Okay. Nicole, I'll go ahead and put a call in. I just need you, if you could please repeat her address to make sure I have it entered correctly.
2825 Saratoga. It's Saratogatr.
Okay. Thanks.
I think stands for trail.
The first part of the 2,000-page report starts out. On August 13th, 2018, at 1:40 p.m, police were called and dispatched to 2825 Saratoga on a reported Czech well-being. Nicole Atkinson called about her friend Shanann Watts. Shanann was 15 weeks pregnant and had not been feeling well lately. Shanann was not answering phone calls or texts, which wasn't like her at all. Shanann missed her doctor's appointment for her pregnancy checkup, which she had been very excited about. Nicole and her son Nicholas went to the Watts residence and observed Shanann's car in the garage. The vehicle still had the child seats inside. Nicole attempted to enter the front door with the code, but it had a safety latch which prevents it from opening more than 3 inches. Nicole had called Shanann's husband, Christopher Watts, and requested he come home and check on Shanann. Nicole kept saying Christopher was not coming. She had called him several times and he kept giving her different arrival times. The officer contacted Christopher by phone and asked for the garage door code. Christopher stated it did not work from the outside, and he said he was about 5 minutes away. When Christopher arrived, we went inside through the garage to check for Shanann and the 2 children. Right, I'm going to stop there in the report. So from what I can see here, Shanann had amazing friends. Nicole Atkinson had become so concerned about Shanann that she had gone to Shanann's home to check on her, gone to the doctor to see if Shanann had made it to her appointment, and then back to Shanann's house. She had called Chris multiple times. She also called other friends asking if anyone had heard from Shanann. Nicole then alerted the police, even though Chris asked her not to. We then see other friends of Shanann start to reach out to Chris Watts, alerting him about their concerns and telling him to go home and check on his family, even telling him the police will be called. That's when we see Chris beg them not to call the police, telling them he is on his way home now. From the sounds of Nicole, when the officer arrives for the check well-being, Nicole tells him it's taken so long for Chris to arrive home. She was so concerned that he wasn't actually even coming. During the time Chris Watts was told to go home and check on his family, till the time he arrives home, for me is unknown, as the body cam time is reading 20:07 when Chris's truck pulls up. Chris gets out of his truck and goes to the back of the truck where it looks like he's getting things out. We then see Chris run towards the police officer. I always thought that was so weird. He acted like he was in an urgent rush. He then turns around as the garage door is opening and he glances at Shanann's friend Nicole and her son with the most nastiest look on his face, like he was absolutely pissed off that she had called the police, even though he had asked her not to. Chris then goes straight towards Shanann's car, which I thought was so strange. He opens the car door and leans in, grabbing something, which started so many speculations. Many people accused him of taking Shanann's wedding ring from the car. What we see in the footage is small and unclear. Chris then goes through the garage door and unsets the alarm system. The police officer, Nicole Atkinson, and her children are waiting for Chris to open the front door and let them into the house. What sticks out here is that it took Chris over 1 minute to open the door, when it should only have been seconds. During that time, we all made speculations of Chris Watts having a very quick cleanup of the crime scene. Looking back in 2020 hindsight, we know this was the first time Chris had been back into the scene of the crime. Chris didn't expect to have been caught so fast. He had no time to get home and remove things of Shanann's to make it look like she had left with the children. Chris was the type of guy who struggled to fit in with people and was awkward, which would have made it hard for him to make friends. which is why Chris had no idea of how much of an amazing friend Shanann was to her friends. Shanann's friends talk about how Shanann would text them every morning and how strange it was to not have heard from Shanann at all. Also, Shanann had been away on a business trip with her girlfriends. She vented a lot about her unhappy husband and how confused she was with what's going on with him lately. I'm sure they talked about a lot, but they also noticed how Shanann wasn't feeling too good that weekend and how she didn't eat much food, which concerned her friends, knowing Shanann was pregnant and also suffering from other health issues. Chris didn't know the bond Shanann had with her friends because Chris has never had a close bond with anyone in his life apart from his father. And that's what got him caught so fast. Shanann's friends knew her routine and knew something wasn't right. After Nicole contacting Chris asking where is Shanann, Chris gave her an excuse that set off red flags for Nicole. Chris had said Shanann has taken the kids and gone to a friend's house on a play date. But Nicole was at Shanann's house and she could see the car in the garage with the children's car seats inside. Also, Nicole knew the door code to open the front door at the Watts house. But when she attempted to open the door, it had the safety lock on at the top, which could only allow the door to open 3 inches. But Nicole could see Shanann's favorite flip-flop sandals, which apparently she lived in. Nicole knew Shanann wouldn't take the children without her car, or at least without the children's car seats and her flip-flops. This made Nicole panic and call 911. So looking back in hindsight, if Chris had have taken Shanann's car and flip-flops, would Nicole have been concerned enough to call the police? If no one was worried about Shanann and Chris had have finished work like a normal day, returning home to the crime scene, and used that time to dispose of anything of Shanann's, making it look like she had possibly taken the children and left. Imagine that. Thank God for good friends. So in the next part, we're going to look into Chris Watts's texting timeline just to see how it all starts that day.